Business Week recognized the top 25 customer service brands. Ritz was rated number 12, and I loved Ritz-Carlton. Guess what? Ace Hardware was rated number 10. That opened my eyes. Here's what they've done. They've managed to operationalize the word helpful. They want to be the most helpful stores on the planet, especially in their industry, which is home improvement and hardware, and they have to compete against some pretty big companies. I mean, and Home Depot or Lowe's or Menards go up right next to them, and the big box stores is who they had to compete against. It was David versus Goliath, and you know who wins? What customers want is they decide what it is that they want. Do they want the lowest price in town, or do they need help with something, or do they need support, or they want value? And by the way, you can get a hybrid. You can't always get the lowest price and the best service. So helpful means very knowledgeable. They're trained well. That's important. So I think convenience, staffed properly without having to wait a long time, knowledgeable people, all that goes toward helpful. It takes one to say yes, but two to say no, which means that that frontline person has to figure out a yes solution for the customer, or he's got to get permission to say no to the customer from a manager. And the manager really doesn't want to be bothered. But when's the last time you asked for something and to get approval, someone said, hold on, I have to check with my manager? A moment of magic is, and it's not necessarily blow me away, wow me, it's just better than average. And so if you just take that moment, that interaction, and you bump it up just a notch, and by the way, once in a while you'll bump it up a lot more given an opportunity to do so, but it could be just a consistent positive attitude, something that's better than average. And when you string the moments of magic along and they're consistent, that puts you in what I call the zone of amazement. So really the big difference between mediocrity and magic is just being a little above average, because anybody can be average and anybody could create a moment of magic some of the time, but the goal is make it happen all of the time. Recognize that if they aren't willing to care, they shouldn't be hired to begin with. So it starts at the hiring process. You know, do the background. American Express, they interviewed their senior VP of World Service, and one of the things he talked about is rather than hire people from the call center industry, he looked for people that had hospitality background, people that would work in a hotel or a restaurant, because he says those people know how to take care of people. If that's important, look at the right kind of person that you're hiring. Nordstrom talked about how they don't really train their people to be as good as they do. The parents train them. They didn't take what they already know and they make it work for their system. Training is so important. It's really difficult to throw somebody into the fire there and say, okay, now get out real quick without any kind of training. Give everybody an index card and tell them that at the end of the week, you want them to write down an example of when they've created a great service experience, either for a customer or their internal customer, someone they work with, okay? Then you compile these cards. Somebody gets them, they compile them, they look through them, they pick the best of the best, and they share these. And what you also try and do, and I use that word operationalized a little earlier, operationalize some of these good positive experiences. Why can't they be happening all the time? Now, the next thing I want them to do is I want them not to just do this once. I want them to do it once a week for like the next 6 weeks. And what happens is at the end of the week, people are going, okay, what should I write about? And after about week 3 or 4, they're going, oh, this is a great one. This is what I want to write about. So instead of reflecting back, they're caught in the moment of giving that great service experience.
If you enjoy this podcast, please make sure to subscribe. And to stay updated on everything that the Action Catalyst is up to, make sure to follow us on Facebook and Instagram at Action Catalyst Podcast and on Twitter at Catalyst_Action. And thanks for listening.